Okay, let's go to Tanya.
Thank you.
We're in Paraklamet Aleph.
Thank you.
At the bottom, we're on what page 140. On the top, it's 78. Okay, so we're gonna start. Okay, we're gonna start 4 lines at the end of the page. That's what we're up to. Again, at the bottom, it's 140, on top it's 78. The Alter Rebbe was explaining like this. After the previous chapters were explaining that the person sometimes, when the wood is too thick, that you can't catch on to it, what you need to do is bust it up. So the Alter Rebbe said, and to think that you're worthless and no good and everything, that's to break the Yetzer Hara. So at the beginning, what we learned last week, the Alter Rebbe asks, so if that's the case, so maybe you come to depression, which is also no good. The person should never be depressed. So the Alter Rebbe says, this is not depression. This is bitterness that leads to simcha. In other words, there's depression that gets you down and out, that you're not in the mood of doing anything. This level of what's called meridas, bitterness, is a stepping stone to want to do more. If a person, as he was meditating before, as he mentioned, you think how low you are and how great Hashem is and how far you fell away from connection to Hashem, that will motivate you to do more, and that leads to simcha. He quoted the pasuk in Tehillim, Tashmi'eni sasin v'simcha. Then it's going to lead you to simcha. But he says like this, L'chein, Amar Azal, therefore the Gemara says, La'elam yargiz adam yetzer tov, a person should always excite the yetzer tov. And he says you should sometimes scream at the yetzer hara. Excuse me. So he says like this. What does this mean? V'hainu, which means v'chol eisheroya benafshi. Anytime a person sees in his soul that he really needs to bust himself up because his ego is getting the best of him and the fire of godliness is not catching up onto him. He says, when is the real appropriate time to do this? He says like this. When is the proper time to start realizing how worthless you are? He says, he says, if a person's depressed anyway, then you have to transform the depression that you're anyway depressed into positive depression, which is called bitterness. He says when a person is depressed for whatever, from worldly things, you just had a lousy, as they say in America, lousy hair day, lousy shekel day, lousy business day, the kids didn't listen, everything that you could possibly want. You had a bad day and you're all depressed. So then what you need to do, at that time where you're in the depressed mood already, what you need to do is transform it to meridas of Kedusha. Say, you know what? Taka at this time, or kach b'li shum simcha, or maybe there's no other reason. Azahi shasa kresha. Then, if the person's depressed anyway for whatever reason it may or may not be, shasa kresha, then it's a proper time lahapech ha'otzei, to transform the depression which makes you want to do nothing. Li'esmimara the chushben now. Become the reckoning, make a reckoning of L'Kayim Maimer Azal to fulfill what the Gemara tells us. La'elam Yargiz Canal, like you should excite the Yetzer Tov. You should excite the Yetzer Tov, because when you get excited about something, that is motivation to do more. Let me paraphrase what Alter Rebbe is explaining over here in a practical level. A person has to work on himself to feel how low they are, how far away they are from Hashem. But the Alter Rebbe is going to explain soon. At that time, you need to realize I'm not really far from Hashem. I have a neshama. What's far away from Hashem is my body and my Yetzer Tahara. But when the person is starting to make a cheshbon that, you know what, I'm really far away from Hashem and it's no good in there, what are you supposed to be thinking at the same time? At the same time, you feel what is low? Which part of me is low? Which part of me is far away from Hashem? Not my neshama. My neshama is a part of Hashem. The body is anyway a nothing. The body is a worthless piece of meat. That's what you're supposed to meditate in the meditation to think. And he says, when you transform this depression to something positive, you will get rid of the depression from worldly things, and then you'll come to simcha, meet this real simcha. How do you come to real simcha? And he says, Dahainu, like this. This is what a person needs to think. The nachamei bekiflayim, to comfort it in a double way, like nachamu ami, double comforting. And he says like this. This is what a person should say to himself. Emes came beli safek. It's true without any doubt. Shani rochek ma'ed me Hashem betachlis. I'm talking very realistically. I'm very far away from Hashem. Umeshuket, umesuav. I'm despicable. I'm disgusting. I'm abominable. He says, but now he says like this. What's low? What's despicable? That's the body in nefesh achiyuna with the Yetzer Hara in it. Remember, person with Adam is created last because we're the lowest of all creatures. But the neshama of the person is the highest level of everything. So the person makes a cheshbon. Yeah, I'm low, I'm disgusting, I'm abominable, I'm whatever. But what is that? What is disgusting? By the way, we learned in the past the interesting scientific thing. The most helpless body of all animals is a human body. A newborn baby not taken care of immediately by somebody will die very soon. All other animals don't need the same care a human body needs. So even though, yes, we're the human, the epitome of creation, but by nature, we are the most helpless creatures. So he says, what is disgusting? That's the avol mikomokim, but nevertheless, Alter Rebbe says, yesh bekirbi chelek Hashem mamish. I have a chelek Hashem, I have a neshama within me, which is a chelek alakami mal mamish. Sheyeshne afilu bekal shebekalu, which exists, as we learned before, even in the lowest of low, the pintali yid, the essence of the Jew, the nikudas hayadus, the yechidah shebenefesh, exists even by the lowest of the lowest. And what is that? The nefesh olekis, the godly soul, imnitzat elokush mamish, would have the spark of Hashem in it. That comes into the body to give me life. But Nebuch, it's an exile, my godly soul, the Nefesh Ulikis, is exiled in the body and in the Nefesh Habamis. It's exile. Bim came, he says, on the contrary, Kol ma'ashani betachas harichuk me Hashem. Okay. As far, anytime I'm far away from Hashem, Vatil v'shikuts, and it's abominable and disgusting, he says, you know what you're supposed to think? Wow, that means it's even a bigger pity on my godly soul that's in such an exile. Harinefesh olikish should be begolas godol yeser. So if that's the case, I'll explain this whole thing in a second. If that's the case, then the pity on my godly souls even more. Therefore, I will make my whole goal and aim to get the nefesh out, to elevate it out of this golus, to bring it back to her father's house from the youth before it came into the body. Meaning like this. We know there's a nature. The pasuk says, Yaakov asher pada es Avraham. Yaakov who redeemed Avraham. We don't find anywhere that Yaakov Avinu had to redeem Avram from anything. Okay? When Avram passed away, Yaakov Avinu was 15 years old. Okay? That's what the pasuk says. Yitzchak was 60 when he gave birth to the twins. Okay? Avram at that time was 160, was 100 years older than Yitzchak. Avram passed away at 175. So Yaakov and Esau were 15. They never redeemed Avram Avinu. What does the pasuk mean when it says Yaakov asher padas Avram, Yaakov who redeemed Avram, meaning redemption is out of Golus, out of exile. What does it mean when the pasuk says Yaakov redeemed Avram from Golus? So Chassidus explains it means very simple. Avram is the attribute of chesed, which is love. Yitzchak is the attribute of gevura, which is fear. Yaakov is the level of rachmanus, pity, mercy, pity. When we know, when you pity somebody, you have rachmanus on somebody, it awakens a love to that person. It's a known fact that many social workers fall in love with their clients. Why? Because as a social worker, they have pity on the guy or the woman. They have pity on them. Pity awakens love. That's human nature. And that's what the pasuk says. Sometimes the love of Avraham Avinu, the love that a Jew is supposed to have, is in Golus, in the body and nefesh habamis. It's in Golus. So what do you do to redeem that love that the neshama has, that now is blocked and covered in Golus of the body and the nefesh, the Yetzer Hara, nefesh habamis? You have rachmanis on it. When you pity it, you pity your neshama, that your neshama is in exile, in prison, in jail by the body and nefesh habamis. So that's going to awaken a love. It's going to awaken the love that the neshama has to Hashem. So he says like this: what should the person think? Yes, I'm so low, but that's only my body, but my neshama is a part of Hashem. The problem is my neshama came into golus into the body, right? It's in golus into the body. So therefore, it's a big pity on me. But not only that, the fact that the neshama comes from such a lofty place and is in such a deep, low exile in the body, that awakens even a deeper pity, a deeper rachmanis. And when a person has rachmanis, that awakens the neshama to wake up and get out of golus. Where do we see this? Daily in davening. Every day in davening shachris. The whole purpose of shachris is to come to in Shema, v'yohavtas Hashem elokecha, to love Hashem with all your love, all your heart, all your soul, all your might, and everything. That's the ultimate goal of davening, to mamata l'mayla, from lower to higher. As we discussed Monday night in Yaakov Avinu's dream, the concept of davening is to elevate ourselves to become closer to Hashem. And we learned, without elaborating, Sukkah de Zimra is the meditation into the greatness of Hashem that even the physical brain, the nefesh habamis, can understand. Then you go into the second part of davening, the second, right after Baruch Hu, we speak about the angels. The angels, it says in Kabbalah, this, the sediment, the shmorim, the junk of the angels is the source of the animal soul. And then right before Krishma, the last bracha Abba Selam, what do we say? Avinu av harachman rachem na aleinu. What do we say? Father, the Father of harachman, not only the merciful, the Father meaning the source of mercy, have pity on us. How does it get into davening before Krishma? So Chassidus says very simple. If Sukkot Zimra didn't turn you on for whatever reason, and the angels' subservience to Hashem, bittul to Hashem doesn't turn you on, so we come to Hashem before Shema with one last plea. You know what? I tried, it's not going. But the love of my neshama is not. So we say, Hashem, have rachmanis on us, have pity on us. The same belibeinu, give it into our heart to understand godliness. So you see from there that rachmanos, having pity on ourselves, but not a pity that somebody, it's such a pity on me, and they go fetching about it the whole day. When a person meditates in this holy meditation, meridus, not depression, when they deal with meridus, meaning they realize how far away they are from Hashem, but at the same time they realize that's only the body which is far away from Hashem. The neshama is super close to Hashem, but the neshama is confined, restricted, exiled in the body. So that awakens a rachmanis on the neshama. And when we have pity on the neshama, that means we realize how low we fell. That stimulates the person to realize all I have a neshama though. I just have to pull the neshama out of the pit. That causes great simcha because the person knows they can do it. And that stimulates simcha, and that stimulates positivity, that you can get the neshama to get out of the guf and to go back to where it was, not God forbid, die and leave them, but in the body that the neshama is to get the neshama in the body, to come to the level it was before it came into the body. At that time, the neshama was included in godliness. It was one with Hashem. And completely one with Hashem. And he says, now you can also do it. It can also be even in the body. The neshama could become one with Hashem. Very simple. I'm going to say very simple. You do a mitzvah, the neshama is out of galus. You learn a little Torah, you daven, you do mitzvahs, the three pillars, the neshama automatically leaves the body. It leaves the constriction. Now you connected to mitzvah. Mitzvah means tafsa v'chiba, you're bound to Hashem. You become connected. And he says like this, sha'asim kol megamosim, when I made my whole thrust, the Torah mitzvahs, when doing Torah mitzvahs, lahalbish b'hem kol eser b'chinesar kanal, to put all 10 powers of the soul, the intellect and the emotions, into Torah mitzvahs, ubefrat mitzvah satfila, especially the mitzvah of davening, which is the concept of crying out to Hashem, litzek al Hashem batzar lo migalusa begufi, crying out from Hashem, like Yonah cried out from the whale's stomach, right? We mafta Yonah. Yonah cried out to Hashem from the Golus. And he said, I'm a shukit, the despicable Golus that the neshama is in. The Yitzia mimazget, to take it out from its being locked up, uladavka beyisbarich, and to cling to Hashem. And that's the level of tshuva ma'asim teifen. That's the concept of tshuva ma'asim teifen. So the Alter Rebbe says like this: when you feel embittered, or when you're depressed anyway, depression is again, Depression makes you go to sleep. It's Yetzer Hara talking. Yetzer Hara is very shrewd. How does Yetzer Hara get a Jew not to do mitzvahs? He has a very simple tactic. He makes you depressed that you're no good and you're a sinner. And bottom line is, you're too depressed to do Torah mitzvahs. That's terrible. It's opposite of Idlos Hashem B'Simcha. So the Alter Rebbe says here, what's the remedy? What's the medication for this? Take Meridas and you say like this. This is what a person needs to meditate when they're on a low. Okay. Yes, I'm very far away from Hashem. But that far distance is only my body and my animal soul. My neshama is close. It's in Golus now in the body. It's not controlling the body. The body is controlling the neshama. That's only because it's really locked up in a dungeon. But therefore, the pity is tremendous. Can you imagine a king locked up in the jail is a bigger problem than a simple person locked up in the jail? It's the king. A person needs to realize my king, the neshama, is locked in Golus, and therefore it's not functioning properly. It's a terrible pity on the neshama. Let me do something about it. Let me get out of Golus. How do you get it out of Golus? He said, Tshuva Ma'asim Tovim. You do Torah, you do mitzvahs. You give davening, he says, cry out to Hashem. Hashem says, help. The Jew says, help. Hashem answers. We find Bachlal, when a person cries out and you get the feeling that they really mean it, it's different when a person cries wolf and they don't mean it. When a Jew cries out to Hashem and they mean it, Hashem comes to his help. That's the reality. A Jew cries out to Hashem from the depth of his heart. From the depth, I call out to Hashem. Hashem answers it. When we call out from Meitza, from the oppression, Hashem answers us with broadness. And therefore, this doesn't cause depression. The person's attitude is, you know what? My neshama is in jail. We got to get it out. Let's go get it. It stimulates the person instead of going to bed and not doing anything. It stimulates the person to go fight to get the neshama out of Golus, because the neshama is really great. It's a chelek alakam imal. Even within me in Golus, it's still the essence of the Jew is never in Golus. The previous Rebbe said the expression, not unser Gufim seinen in Golus. Only the body of a Jew is in Golus. The neshama of a Jew is always like the light. The neshama of a Jew is always up. It's always functioning. So what does a person need to do? They need to say to themselves, let's get out of here. Let's have an escape route and we'll get out of the prison. How do you get out of the prison? The Alter Rebbe says very simple. You do Torah, Ma'asim Tovim, davening, learning, giving tzedakah, the three pillars, your neshama gets out of Golus. And that's the tremendous simcha, like he's going to say, when the king, the son of the king, goes back to the Ben Melech, when he goes back out of, he's locked up in jail, and then he gets out of jail and he goes back to the parent, to the king, the simcha is unbelievable. And therefore, this type of meridas, anti-depression, actually causes simcha, because you know that you're getting out of here. Not only is there light at the end of the tunnel, there's light right now in the tunnel. In the darkness of the tunnel, in the darkness of the guf and nefesh, in the darkness of the chayshach of the world, there's Torah or. I mentioned this morning in Chassidus class. It says Torah is called Torah or. Torah is light. What do you mean Torah is light? The Rebbe explains light doesn't change anything in the room. The room is the same, whether there's light or there's no light. The room doesn't change. What does light do? Light doesn't change the room. Light guides you to know where it's safe to go and where it's dangerous to go. Light will guide you whether this is something, a pit that you're going to fall into, or you're going to bang into the wall, or it's something where you could walk. The Rebbe says, what does Torah do? Torah doesn't change the world. The purpose of Torah in this world, Hashem gave us the Torah, is to give light to know what's good in the world and what's bad in the world. And as the Gemara, the Chazal tells us an expression, "Ein simcha kataris haspekis." There's no greater joy when doubts are resolved. An expression in Chazal, "Ein simcha kataris haspekis." There's no greater joy than when your doubts are solved. Through Torah mitzvahs, Torah gives us light. Torah gives us guidance. Torah takes away the doubts. Is it good or bad? Is it safe or is it dangerous? What does Torah do? Torah shows you that it's good and it's bad. So Torah sheds light. So when a person is in this time that he needs to break himself a little bit, and he realizes Taki is no good, but then he thinks and he realizes 1 minute, yeah, I'm no good, but that's not me. That's not me. That's my body. That's the nefesh habamis. I have a neshama. That neshama is a chelak alokah. And it can get it, and the Rachmanis is great. It's in prison. Let me get it out of prison. How do you get it out of prison? You do Torah mitzvahs. It gets it out of prison. And he said, the Zui Bechinas Tshuva Maisim Tevim. This is the concept of Tshuva and Maisim Tevim. True Torah is supposed to be light to all nations of the world. But the Jews are the ones that bring the Torah in the world for the nations to see it. The whole Chugayim Le'erech, the pasuk says that the other nations will go to the light of the Jew, meaning the light of Torah. Jews bring the Torah to the world. Maisim Tevim She'esa that he does. Why does he do the Maisim Tevim? To bring, why is it called Tshuva Maisim Tevim? Yet Rebbe is adding, at least in passing, why is it called Tshuva? If you think about it, first it should say Maisim Tevim, good deeds, and then Tshuva. Why is the expression always in Chazal, Yosef Shachs b'tshuva Maisim Tevim b'elam hazeh? Why is it always Tshuva before Maisim Tevim? So the Rebbe here is saying in passing, because the Avodah is lahoshiv. The tshuva, the purpose of Maisim Tevim is to return to Hashem. The tshuva is returning through the Maisim Tevim. The attitude of Maisim Tevim, what's the purpose of mitzvahs? To connect to Hashem, to return to Hashem. Especially in Chassidus. Chassidus teaches us the main thing is not Gan Eden. Gan Eden is only a ray of the Shekhinah. You do a mitzvah in this world, you connect it to the essence of Hashem. So therefore you realize, I have the ability to take myself out of Golus. Why? Because Hashem helps us. So therefore when I do Tshuva Maisim Tevim, I could reconnect to Hashem. So therefore the light of the Shekhinah is resting upon me. And I don't have to get depressed. I could be happy. And he's going to say, when you get out of prison, you're very happy. A Jew is a prince. Hashem is the king. Whereas Hashem's children. When the prince is locked up in jail and he gets out of jail, the king is very happy. That's what Hashem does. Okay, once again, next week there's no class Wednesday night or Monday night for that matter. 2 weeks, Monday night there's no class. Wednesday night there will be a class. And again, once again, this class is for the Refuah Shlema for Hanya Bas Barachad Varaleh to have a speedy, complete Refuah Shlema.